Redditors who have been in natural disasters. What was your oh crap? This is real moment. I was a senior in high school in Joplin, MO, when the tornado hit. My friends and I were on the highway driving home and the storm was right behind us. We pretty much flew down the highway going 90 and then barricaded ourselves in our friend's cellar, and when we came out, everything was flat and our high school had been leveled completely. I have a weird thing for tornadoes, so I've watched the Joplin documentary multiple times. There's this scene where a meteorologist loses her composure telling people to take cover. That's an oh crap moment. I still remember the Northridge earthquake a while back. Lived near the epicenter apparently. Woke up to the sound of clanging dishes. Only this time everything was moving violently. It felt like forever. It was less than a minute IRL. And when it stopped, there was this eerie calm, aside from all the car alarms going off. When I was a teenager, I went outside during a tornado warning to look around when it got quiet, then looked up and saw the clouds circling like water around a drain directly over my house. Apparently that particular funnel cloud was retracting, hence the break in storm noise as it passed overhead. Very humbling sight. I just moved to the beach in South Carolina about 4 months ago. About 3 weeks after moving down, Hurricane Matthew was heading toward the state. Initially, I didn't plan on leaving, but the most astonishing part for me was that 2 days before the storm, the lines to get into gas stations were miles long. Like, it took around 2 hours for people to get gas. I decided to leave the next day, and the state government decided to reverse both lanes of I-26. Nothing is freakier than seeing both lanes of the interstate going the same direction. Even though I didn't stay through the storm, just experiencing this made me feel like the situation was completely fricked. Right. The Joplin, Missouri tornado came out of my then brother-in-law's basement. Saw smoke above the trees. Saw a shitload of emergency vehicles pass by from the city next door. Tried to call my family. No reception. Texted my mom, hey, you guys didn't die in a tornado, did you? No response. Then, 10 minutes later, FWAM, my phone starts lighting up with texts, with pictures, with news. I wanted to drive to my parents, maybe see what I could do to help, but my in-laws insisted we stay with them. They didn't want us anywhere near the damage. My sisters, who were closer to the area where it hit, went out looking for people until emergency crews came on the scene. The crap they were texting, they dug out some seriously damaged people, some dead people. My dad called a few hours later, told me he was called to work to assess damage at his plant, and to hunt for some missing guys. He found them, drowned in a pipe outside, caught by the weather. All of this, all of it, seemed unreal, like it wasn't really happening. It wasn't until the next day, when my in-laws finally relented and let my then husband and I go into town so I could see my folks, that the reality smacked me. The damage. It was freaking unreal. A town I graduated high school and college in, just split in two. The center a jumble of lumber and debris. It looked like a flattened garbage dump. Every landmark, gone. And then there was the bizarre crap. The crap that showed how strong the winds were. Metal siding wrapped around poles. Semi-trucks at a trucking facility knocked over like dominoes on one side of the lot, and on the other tossed around like crap was thrown from a kid's toy chest. Cars on top of other cars. Debris jammed through surviving walls. An apartment building that looked like someone took a knife to it and sliced it in half. That is the crap that made it real. And even now, though I have the memories, and I can see pictures online, and the streets look vastly different from before the storm, it still doesn't seem quite like it happened. That amount of damage is just, I think the brain sort of keeps you from taking it all in when it's a place you called home. I was there as well. Had 13 funerals that week. My dad is a sheriff and found my uncle's body. When I glanced up towards the front window while huddling with my family under the dining room table, and I saw the roof of our next door neighbor's house go flying past. The 7.8 Kura earthquake in November, though it ended up not being too bad for us. It hit about 1 in the morning on a Monday, and I was grumpy because it woke me up. I tried going back to sleep, but it kept waking me up, like someone was roughly shaking me awake. The bed was getting thrown about. It felt like lying on a trampoline when someone else was jumping on it, and there was a long low rumble. We knew it was a really big one when, after scouring Twitter, news sites and radio, we decided to start walking towards the hills at 1:30 am with our tiny dog in our arms because there was a tsunami coming. Tsunami sirens are not a happy sound. It ended up being 2 feet high though, so we would have been fine. Better safe than sorry. San Francisco 1989. My boyfriend and I were in our apartment and we felt an earthquake. We are both native Californians and were not fazed at all. We went and stood in the doorway and waited for it to stop. But it just kept going, and after a couple of seconds the power went out and the earthquake kept going. We realized this was not a normal quake and we looked at each other in fear. There was not much damage at our house because we were in Bernal Heights, which is on bedrock. Our neighbor went out to his car to listen to the radio and we could hear it. It said the cyberstructure had collapsed and I was very confused. I did not know much about computers at that time and I thought it was very strange that there was a cyberstructure which was an actual physical thing that could collapse during an earthquake. Later I found out that this was the Cypress structure, which was a freeway overpass. When the earthquake started, we're watching the show Small Wonder, which is about a little girl robot. It was a terrible show and we were laughing at how stupid it was. As we were standing in the doorway scared that we might die, I remember thinking, if I die the last thing I will have done was watch that stupid plastic sitcom about a little girl robot. So I was glad I didn't die. I live in the Gatlinburg, TN area. We recently had some devastating wildfires. The whole day, I kept telling myself everything was going to be fine. There's no way the fire can get from the chimney tops, local mountain peak and popular hiking trail, to downtown. I was underestimating the wind and how dry it was. It got real very fast. I started hearing about fire that had spread to Twin Creeks and Cherokee Orchard. These areas are directly next to the city proper, but I'm a town over, so I should be safe. Then I heard fire trucks approaching my house, and we were told by the fire department that we had to leave. Oh crap, this real. Videos started coming in of the mountains surrounding Gatlinburg. Everything was on fire. The city center was fine, but everything else was burning. It looked like magma flows on the mountains. Oh crap, this is real. And then the news started talking about people trapped in a hotel by fire. My dad was in that hotel. Everyone made it out of the hotel, but it didn't look good for a while. It felt even more real the next day when I heard that they had found 3 bodies, then 5, then 10. They're still finding remains. I think last official count was 14. It will be higher. When I saw National Guard helicopters and trucks, it felt a little more real. Now that I think about it, I still don't think it feels entirely real. Nothing like this has ever happened here. I was on the beach when the Boxing Day tsunami hit. Was sitting there talking with my brother when he noticed the bubbling water. He went, "That's not good." We started packing our stuff up and were walking up the beach. I looked back and saw the water receding and just about died. Screamed, "Run now," while my brother, smartly, yelled, "Tsunami is coming, run for your lives." We started running as quick as we could. There was a woman about 20 feet in front of us with 3 kids, one in her arms. He grabbed one, I grabbed the other, and the 3 of us just ran. We were lucky and got high enough, but I'll never forget that sound. It was freaking terrifying. That is absolutely terrifying. Thankfully your brother knew what the bubbles meant. 2004 Christmas tsunami, and I was staying in the Rosasayang Golden Sands in Penang. The earthquake woke me up while I had a massive hangover. Fine, I've been through earthquakes before, no problem. Go down to the beachfront pool area, relaxing, having Bloody Mary and some food. Then people start moving towards the beach, so I go to have a look. There was a massive chunk taken out of the horizon. We just watched it for like 10 minutes. The sea started to retract, and the fishermen boosted out to sea without saying anything. The people uneasily moved away, but continued to watch. The moment I saw the speed the sea was coming back, I knew crap was about to get real. I and everyone around me ran. A girl got caught, and her partner managed to snatch her back out. Reactions of a mongoose. It's only luck or a miracle for me that our section of the beach happened to draw the full wave further down. I got back to the pool area and turned to see the wave had begun to turn. It still made it to the pools though. The fishing village 200 meters down the beach was demolished. They were pulling bodies out of the water for the next couple of weeks. It's not as bad as some of the others, but I'm a reporter and I live in an area affected by Hurricane Matthew. The morning after the hurricane passed over our area, I'm in North Carolina. I was honestly feeling like it didn't live up to the hype. It was a bunch of rain and not much else. It was a mild inconvenience at best from my vantage point. Then I went to work. While exploring the inner city and some areas affected by flash flooding, I saw the guy carrying chunks of carpet out of his house. I asked him what happened and he invited me inside. The first thing that hit me was the stench. Wet carpet and early onset of mold is not a pleasant mixture. His house had gone from totally dry to knee deep in water in an instant. His wife, who only had one leg, had to be taken to a shelter by fire truck. A small pump she'd been given by her doctor to administer some medicine she needed was ruined as well. While he was giving me a tour of his house, his friends were dumping buckets of water into a trash can, then carrying it out to the street to empty. He told me that his landlord had insured the house, meaning it could be repaired, but everything inside, this dude's whole life, wasn't covered. When we walked outside, I looked down the street and there were 5 or 6 more people just like him. When the rivers here crested, they cut our county in half, meaning the only way to get to shelters and to do stories south of the river, we had to beg the National Guard to give us rides on the back of deuce and a halfs across the flooded highway. I don't know that I'll ever forget the month of October 2016 as long as I live. Hurricane Ike in Galveston and Houston in September 2008. The Wikipedia page actually downplays its devastation. I lived off of I-45, which the eye of the hurricane followed very closely. My oh crap moment, when the eye hit us. I took a smoke break from trying to sop up rain that was blowing in through the cracks of the windows and doors. Not large cracks, just very strong wind. In the eye of the storm it was eerily quiet compared to the howling winds that had blown down every neighborhood fence. I knew that my smoke break was over, and the eye was nearly past, when I saw a 30-foot tall tree coming down the road towards me, roots dragging the ground. I lived with a cop at the time, and had several friends who were EMS and firefighters. Despite the media blackouts, they told me, for 2 weeks afterwards they were pulling 5,100 bodies out of the water every day around Galveston Island, where I lived at the time. Power was out for 3 weeks after. Gas stations were dry. Grocery stores were rationing, and only letting in a dozen or so people at a time. An illegal curfew was implemented. Cops would pull you over just for being on the road. My cop roommate had left me with a shotgun to protect the house while he was on duty during the storm, and the day after, 3 guys broke into my neighbor's backyard and ours. The fences were blown down, and tried to steal the neighbor's generator, and smashed the back window to our house. I ended up firing at and hitting one of them, but they all got away. Supposedly there were riots in some places. I realize we were lucky where we were at. Whole neighborhoods had been wiped clean from the face of the earth. You could hardly tell they were ever there at all. I was born during Hurricane Alicia, took my driver's test during Allison, evacuated for Rita, survived Ike, and now I don't live on the coast. I'm not sure if the weight of it carries beyond West Alabama, but Tuscaloosa on the 27th of April, 2011, when James Spann uttered the words "Oh God, it's over downtown." When James motherfucking King of Serious Spann says "Oh God" on air, you know that you are in a state well and truly beyond screwed. I used this car to get your attention. Like the video to be a cool kid. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.